So here we go, Alan. The restart then of the second race of the weekend for the Macau Touring Car Cup.
And Chelio Alves Diaz taking the last opportunity as the BMW peels off to weave the car as much as he can. This is the restart we've been waiting for. Let's see the differential in speed as they get things underway between the two cars right at the front. Chelio Alves Diaz in the Mini. Not surprisingly, gets the pedal down first, makes a little break.
Big
and in
shunt.
the background, unfortunately, a number of cars coming together on the restart. There are at least 3 cars involved in that. There are going to be more. Oh dear, oh dear.
Red flag, race stop, because others unsighted accelerating into the corner come across a block circuit. There are more for this. Huge contact there as the Lotus piles in to the back of the Yaris of Lei Jun Bin. So we've got one upside down. The race has been stopped, understandably, and all of that, I'm afraid, was round about the 5th, 6th, 7th area. Look, there's enormous damage done to Kevin Lam's car, to the Mini of 96 Chen Kin Sang, and this is what, well, it already started by this stage as more piled in.
This is the collection, isn't it?
Yeah.
The inevitable collection.
But that was a massive hit.
It was.
I'm afraid your number 72 Peugeot's involved. Right, that's where it went wrong. So it was Chen Kin Sang who was too fast into the corner. Others followed his pace and got it wrong. And now, of course, the next wave has just got nowhere to go. And that was a massive hit for 32 of Lin Li up from the back of the grid. And she really copped for the biggest hit of all. And then there, jacking number 2 Yaris into the air, Lei Jun Bin's car being given a mighty whack. The Lotus has buried itself underneath. So, oh dear, more drama elsewhere around the lap.
Oh dear, oh dear.
And Rui Valent's car is one of them, and Chelio Diaz's car is that. It is the leader's car. So what has happened coming through Reservoir? 3 Minis have got themselves together, one of which was the leader. So there is absolute mayhem.
Loman Fai's car as well, the number 7 car. It's, yes, it's not been a good restart, has it? And unfortunately, with a red flag coming out, there are a lot of rather damaged cars after that big incident here at Macau.
I'm trying to work out how Chelio Diaz got in strife, because he led, he was away.
Yeah.
And it suggests that he had his own moment then on cold tyres or cooler tyres and came back into the path of the others. So depending on what happens next.
We've yet to see that.
Yeah. Not many have survived all of that, but no. I'm looking for Sabino Osorio and Matthias Lei's car as well, because that, I think, did get through. So the leading Mini in strife, the second place car got through seemingly, 3rd and 5th got involved then, Luman Fai and then Rui Valent. So here is, all right, Chelio Diaz loses it.
Yep.
Cool tyres, the Fiesta gets the lead, does it? So the Mini bounces across the road. Which way does the Fiesta go? Just jinks around. Luman Fai's got nowhere to go, and Rui Valent has his own incident in avoidance. Crikey.
And you're right, it rather looks like all on his own for the race leader, and the cold tyres on the restart, and all of a sudden the whole complexion of the race rather changes. A rather over-dramatic restart for the race, and immediately all of the workers go to assist the drivers and the cars, and there are a number of cars to be recovered.
Well, 2 separate incidents. The first one really triggered by Chen Kin Sang that caused the carnage coming out of the R bend, because he accelerated, and a bit like, actually, what you'd seen for Chelio Diaz. He accelerated, but the tyre temperatures and pressures weren't there, lost adhesion, ran wide, hit the wall. Kevin Lam, who was going with him, got involved, and as they bounced across the road, so mayhem broke out, and there the drivers being attended to by the medical team, because there was a real number of hard hits in that, cars coming to a sudden stop. So it will take quite a while to clear the circuit before we are able to get things underway, and the race I don't think is going to be restarted. We're told that the next session is going to be delayed by 15 minutes, and indeed the session will not be resumed. The cars being dispatched back to the paddock, and you can understand why there's going to be a delay, because where do you start in clearing all this up? Kevin Lam's green Chevrolet looks destroyed, doesn't it?
A few cars look to be destroyed, unfortunately. I'm really sorry to say.
And the marshals are hard at work. They've got to remove cars, they've got to soak up liquid, and drivers largely out of cars, but one or two just had nowhere to go and came to a halt with the track blocked. Others had nowhere to go and went piling in. It really was the luck of the draw as to which line you were on, but now the circuit being addressed, the cars will be retrieved as rapidly and as quickly and as safely as possible, and then there's this drama to sort out. Now, yesterday we had the first GT Cup race, which had a red flag. It had the driver in second place involved in the incident that caused the stoppage. Now, under the regulations for certain races at Macau, if you are the cause of a red flag, you don't go in the result, but at the steward's discretion, you can be put back in. Well, where do you start with that, putting people in or out of the result? Because which incident caused your red flag? For my money, it was the one coming out of the R bend, because the red flags were being shown actually as Chelio Diaz was having his own moment. So he necessarily wasn't the cause of it. However, which driver do you cite in the incident down at the R bend? I think the easiest thing is just to keep everybody in and wish them well, because they've suffered enough in terms of damage already, haven't they?
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. That's a difficult question for race control, for stewards as well, and there is a lot of work to do for the rescue teams, all doing a fabulous job as ever they do here at Macau. The rest of the cars have made their way into pit lane, the number 12 car being pushed back, and we have to try and look for any of the positive stories. One of the cars that was involved and facing the wrong way at the front of that really rather large incident was the number 46 car that at the start of the race had a little bit of potentially bad luck. Well, that car did manage to escape and get going again, so the 46 car was one of the cars that escaped and got going. Unfortunately, there were far too many that didn't get going, and with two incidents out on circuit and a 15-minute delay to the start of our next race, which is again one of the races for local drivers, but instead of touring cars, we're about to turn our attention to GT cars in a little while. It will be for the MGM Greater Bay Area GT Cup, largely for GT4 cars.
The Yaris there just craned away rather ignominiously, but that car of Lei Junbin being put behind the barriers on the grass. Is it coincidence that the two cars that triggered incidents were both Minis? Or is there something about Minis and the way they use their tyres that, or the drivers maybe even, under the safety car conditions, weren't doing what they should have done to keep tyre temps and pressures up? It might just be a coincidence.
Well, the erstwhile race leader, Chelio Alves Diaz, was making the most of every single opportunity to weave the car and try and keep as much heat in the tyres as possible. It's difficult to work out, but certainly the car was all on its own, wasn't it? And quite a few of the drivers having conversations with each other down in pit lane, having got back to pit lane with that completely blocked circuit. It's the widest point of the track. There are two lanes going each way when these are the normal roads of Macau, and the whole thing completely blocked.
So look, there's Chin Kin Sang. He gets it wrong. Kevin Lam hits the barrier. Then the Peugeot piles in of Lam Hong Fai. Others are just fortunate enough to find a gap left or right, but then from the back of the grid, Lin Lee gives Kevin Lam's car a mighty whack. The Yaris goes in. Now, the red flags are out. And here's the Lotus that has nowhere to go except underneath the Yaris. Jacks the car into the air. Some drivers, of course, were accelerating. Others were responding to the red flags as they saw them. But in a way, it was pot luck. You just got a gap or you didn't. But some big, big hits. Look, the Yaris goes in. Actually, number two there, not that damaged. Wait for it. Bang! That is a huge hit. And the number of impacts that Kevin Lam's Chevrolet had is quite severe. There is the leader throwing away what was the advantage, and wait for the red flags to come out. Look, he's halfway through the incident. There are the reds. We're not done yet, because bang, in goes number 7 Mini of Loman Fai, and Rui Vallant having his own dramas. Again, look, cold tyres. Nobody touched him. He lost that. Coincidental or not, but the Minis seem to be the ones that triggered all of those little dramas.
And a huge plus for the driver of number 5, the Ford Fiesta that was in second place, Sabino Lay, I think almost came to a complete stop whilst working out which way am I going to go to avoid the accident that's happening in front of me. That was very careful planning for the new race leader, essentially, because the car got through, it didn't collect the car, so there is much work to do.
Well, that I think is Ray Valland, isn't it, who is very emotional about a broken car, and the chances of a podium result would have gone away from him. So Ray Valland, very, very upset indeed. The race, as we say, not being restarted, and an instant red flag thrown by the officials. I mean, that accident was mounting even after the red flag.
They
weren't hanging about.
The accident was still happening once the red flag had come out. So
others were still accelerating, piling in, but there was no argument from the race officials to throw the red.
It was instant, and they are hugely experienced, the team in race control. They know the kind of incident they can work around, and they know the kind of incident that they really can't, and potentially what could happen in the ensuing couple of moments. So the word coming from race control that the red flag would come out, and then an incident for the race leaders as well, which is so unpredictable, isn't it?